In this video, I will be sharing my stock valuation spreadsheet, which is specifically used for REITs, which is a real estate investment trust. So as you can see, this does look very similar to my previous stock valuation spreadsheet. But what you will notice is that there is a difference in terms of the valuation metrics that are used. So instead of the previous metrics in my previous spreadsheet, I've used different metrics which is more applicable to REITs. So that's the historical price to FFO, the AFFO multiples, and the dividend discount model. And again, as with my previous spreadsheets, these are taken from these separate tabs here. And I will explain how to value each of those models in this video. And I will also leave timestamps in the description so you can follow the relevant areas for yourself. Also, if you did want to use this spreadsheet for yourself, then just click the link in the description to download a copy. The great thing about this spreadsheet is that it is heavily automated. So you can see here I've got MPW, which is the company that I'm looking at, and all of this information is automatically populated. If I did want to change that, I can just click the drop down and select DOC, which is another company I've chosen to compare it against. And as you can see, the information here has automatically updated as well. So you can use this feature to quickly compare and contrast between different companies. To get the information in this drop down, you just need to click on the references tab here. And all you need to do is fill in the yellow cells and enter the ticker symbol of the company you wanted to compare it to. So you can see I've got 4 companies here, which was from the drop down. But if I did want to add a company, I can just put in the ticker symbol. So for example, I'll just add in a company with the ticker symbol LTC and then press enter. And now the company name should automatically populate here. And if I go back onto my original tab, that should also be available in the drop down. You do not have to use this references tab. You can just simply enter in the ticker symbol here. So you can see I've got MPW, but if I just highlighted it and just selected O, which is another REIT company, and press enter, that information will also appear as well. But I just find that this feature is useful so that you can quickly compare and contrast. I will briefly go over some of this information, but it is pretty much the same as my previous stock valuation spreadsheet. So you can see the analyst ratings and the analyst price target as well. And there's also technical information. So for example, MPW is down 62% from its 52-week high. So if you was a technical investor, you may find this to be an attractive opportunity. And then you've got it as being up 7% from its 52-week low. And the beta information shows how volatile it is compared to the market. So if it is 1, that represents the market. And you can see this is slightly more volatile than the market because it is above 1. And then you've got dividend information here, which is especially important for REIT companies because you want to make sure that they are able to pay out the dividends, which is why we've got the payout percentage here, and we've got the dividend yield here, and then the dividend information there. And if you was interested in the latest earnings of the company, you can see that in this little box here. And as with my previous spreadsheets, we've also got graphs to show how the company's performed over the past year and year to date as well. So that's something that I just usually look at when I invest into a company. So that's a useful feature there. And then obviously you've got your key metrics as well. So you've got your PE ratio, you've got your revenue, how that's changed over the past 5 years, the company's profit margins, the current ratio, the debt to equity and long-term debt to equity of the company, and the price to free cash flow. So these are all useful metrics which you can use in addition to the valuation methods. So if I scroll down, I will now go into each of these individual valuation methods. So the first tab is the historical price to FFO. You do not actually need to do anything here. This just populates all the information. So you can see here it's automatically calculated the intrinsic value of the company. So if I go back to the REIT tab and I changed this to another company, let's just say DOC, you can see it populates here, but also in the historical price to FFO, it also changes here. So if I go back and change this back to MPW, you can see the intrinsic value has again changed. So you don't actually need to do anything in this tab, but I've just included it there as a reference so you can see what figures are being used. And if we go onto the AFFO multiples tab, this is the next metric that I will use to value the company. So you can see this uses the AFFO multiple instead of the PE multiple. So in my previous spreadsheet it was the PE multiple, but for REITs it's more relevant to use the AFFO multiple. All you need to do is fill in these yellow cells here, which looks like a lot but is not actually very complex at all. So all you need to do is put in the ticker symbols of the company, of the companies that you want to compare it against. So I've used similar companies in the medical REIT industry, and that automatically populates the stock price here. So all you need to do is put in the price to AFFO multiple. So to get this information, it is very easy to do. All you need to do is to go onto Seeking Alpha and put in the ticker symbol of the company. So I'm going to do that for the first example. So for DOC, I'm going to go on to Seeking Alpha, and I will leave a link to this in the description as well. But it is pretty straightforward. So all you need to do is put in the ticker symbol, so that's DOC, and then click this. And then you just need to go into the valuation tab. So you don't actually need to sign in either to use this feature. So firstly go into the valuation section and then scroll down, and you can see the price to AFFO for the trailing 12 months. So this is the figure that I will use to input into my valuation spreadsheet. So you can see here the figure is 12. So if I go back to my stock valuation spreadsheet, I've entered 12 here. So I will do the same thing for each of these other companies. So for example, SBRA, I will do the exact same thing. I will go on to Seeking Alpha and just enter in the ticker symbol, so SBRA, and it should already be in the valuation section if you've selected it previously. And if you scroll down, you can use that exact same metric, which is the price to AFFO multiple for the trailing 12 months. So that would be 9.91 in this example. And that's what I've entered here. So I will do this for each of these companies. And then at the bottom here, there is also another cell highlighted in yellow. So this would be the price to AFFO for the ticker symbol or for the company that you are actually looking at. So in this example, it's MPW, which is what we used on the first tab. And so I'll just need to search that ticker symbol into Seeking Alpha. So you can see we've got the valuation here, and the price to AFFO for the trailing 12 months is 3.76, which is the figure that I've entered here. So that's pretty much all you need to do on this tab, and everything else is automatically populated, including the intrinsic value. So that's calculated the intrinsic value as 15.08. And if we do go back to the initial tab, you can see that information is in here as well. So you've got the AFFO multiples valuation, and you've also got the historical price to FFO valuation as well, which was 14.29. And now we're just going to go on to our final metric, which is the dividend discount model. So this is pretty much the same as it is in my previous stock valuation videos, and this is very easy to use as well. So all you need to do again is fill in the cells that are highlighted in yellow. So you can see all it is requesting for is the dividend payout for each of the past 4 years and the current year. So to get this information, all you need to do is to go onto Yahoo Finance. So I'm just going to go onto Yahoo Finance and search for MPW. So I've already searched for MPW, but you can just simply search for it here, and then this information will populate. So all you need to do is to go onto historical data, and what we want to look at is the past 5 years. So I will just click 5 years in here, and what I want to show is the dividends only. So I'll just select dividends only from the drop down, and again all of this is free to use. You don't need an account or anything to sign in. And then the frequency, I will just put monthly, and then I'll just click apply, and then that should give me all the information that I need here. And I'm basically just inputting that information into my stock valuation spreadsheet. So for example, if I go back, you can see 4 years ago the dividend payout was 0.26. So if I go back to Yahoo Finance, you can see 4 years ago in 2019 it was 0.26, and then I will just do that for each of the years until the current year, and everything else here is automatically populated. So in terms of the yearly dividends, you do need to ensure figure here is correct. So MPW pays out quarterly, so that's 4 times a year, so I've put here times 4. However, if your REIT pays out monthly, you can change this 4 to a 12, and it's really that simple. And then that will calculate the growth rate year on year. Then in this cell, you've got the average growth rate for the past 5 years, and you can see this figure is somewhat skewed, and that's mainly because of the current year where there's been a huge dividend cut, which is why I've separated the average growth rate with the projected growth rate. So this is the cell that you need to populate with what you project the future growth rate to be for the dividend payout. So in this example, I've assumed a growth rate of 2, and in terms of the weighted average cost of capital and discount rate, I've included a rate of 8%. So this can be easily Google searched. I have covered this in my previous stock valuation spreadsheet video. And then in this example, the intrinsic value of the company comes to 10.2. And if I do go to my original tab, you can see that the 10.2 has been populated, and that comes to an intrinsic value for the company of 13.19, which is basically just the average of these 3 valuations. And you can obviously see the current price of the company, and in this cell here highlighted in yellow, you can add your own margin of safety. So in this example, I've got a margin of safety of 20%, but you can include your own margin of safety, so whether that's 10%, 15%, 30%, that is entirely up to you. And then that populates the buy price. So the buy price for MPW with these valuation assumptions and this margin of safety comes to an intrinsic value or a buy price of 12.13, and then in the next cell it will tell you whether that's a buy or a sell. So obviously if the buy price is higher than the current price, then that would indicate a buy signal. And here you can see the upside. So in this example, you can see there is a potential upside of 128%. But do remember, when you value REITs, you also need to take into consideration financial factors. So do familiarize yourself with the company and don't blindly invest. And remember, none of this is investment advice. These valuation metrics are just common methods that are used to value a company. So I have created a discount code for those who have already purchased my initial stock valuation spreadsheet. So if you have purchased that in the past, then use that same link that was provided when you purchased it, and I've actually amended the spreadsheet and created this extra tab at the bottom called discounts. So if you did want this REIT valuation spreadsheet, you can get it at a discounted price. So just click that tab and get the discount code when you are purchasing it from Etsy, and it should allow you to take 50% off your order. And if you are still here, then I would really appreciate if you could hit the like button if you found this video useful. Also subscribe for more investment content like this.